What is up, y'all? Is me, T Love, and we're gonna do a different video this time around. And I say different because it's kind of like I'm still trying to find myself in this whole YouTube thing, but I digress. I need to get something off my chest and just kind of speak to something that has been kind of itching at the seams, and really it's around why people leave Warframe, and on the flip side, why people constantly come back to Warframe. So I'm gonna say I've been playing this game for almost 7 years, on and off. And I say on and off because Warframe is one of those games where you can easily leave this world and then come back easily and pick up right where you left off. Um, but over the years, we have seen since I've started the game back when it was released on the PlayStation 4, all the way to the point where they started releasing now to hard demos. A lot of things changed, a lot of projects or kind of features died off, and a lot of the same growing pains that DE has gone have evolved over time. So I think really the main thing is the company is and the developers, they build to what the community really desires, but they do miss that target on one specific topic, and I'll get to that topic here in a minute. So first thing is, let me start by saying I like to go by threes. There's three things that I want to go off of, and it's really about the main core concepts of us as a gamers, what brings us to playing games. And it could easily be broken down into three different things. First one is story. Warframe's story is absolutely phenomenal. Um, Ever since they came in and they started with the second dream, you have this captivation of, okay, you get to know more about Tritino. You get to know, oh, by the way, disclaimer, this is going to be a spoilers. Whoops. um but yeah, it was just crazy how you can continuously grow and go and just you when you first drop into the game, you're just this player who gets into this other body, or you're just this in this body, and you're just there to just attack things. You don't have really proof of concept. You get your mom telling you, hey, you need to go defend yourself, and you do your no your normal instincts and everything. But then you didn't get anything for years until finally in around 2015 you got a story that really pulled you in as a player, really gives you a purpose, a sense of direction of what the game, what the developers, what the story is trying to tell you. And that's when the second dream happened. That's when you, as a Tenno, woke up and you found a another Warframe, a evil or a rival Warframe that's, you think it's misguided. At the same sense, you don't know what is right and what is wrong because you don't know what is going on with you. I think in this story, it opens up into two different paths. It opens up to a story of betrayal, but also a story of understanding of oneself and what their true self is supposed to be. But beyond all that, the story has been great. But we're going to flip it around. The problem with the story is we haven't had any story. Here it is, we're in 2020, and as far as story content that we've been wanting or been waiting for, which is hint hint old war, um it's hasn't happened. And a lot of the community members and a lot of people who have been playing the game for a while are still waiting for all these amazing cutscenes, all this stuff from the old war, and really finding out what is out there in the void. Um, so I'm going to switch over to our next topic, which is really around what a lot of players play games is the challenge. It is really around the mechanics, the combat, the customization. What can you do as far as the mechanics of the game, whether it's farming or whatever. And this game is in some sense so overwhelming, but the other sense is very underwhelming. I want to talk on that here in a minute. So it's very overwhelming as a brand new character you get into the game. You get a sense of, okay, you have a Warframe, but no, you also have almost 20 plus Warframes. And then on top of that, you also have the primes of those Warframes. And each one of those Warframes, they have their own special abilities. Other than your primes, obviously, your primes are just going to be an increased form of that Warframe. But you also have the mods, and then the modding system is just huge. uh which then I go into, you got your primary, you got your secondary, you got your melee weapon, you have your arcwing, you have your arcwing weapons. It's almost to the point where, as a new player, you come into the game and you said, okay, there's literally so much for me to do, I don't know where to start. um I was hoping that the new player experience would give you a little bit more with that, a little guiding and helping hand. But I believe really this is a call to arms from to the community, to the content creators out there, to continue to produce this kind of knowledge to new players to come in and say, hey, it's okay. We were the same way when we were coming into the game. Let me help you around the way to get to where I am today. Um, but then on the other side of it all, you're the in game. Everyone wants that in game. And Warframe's in game is pretty much the same thing. You grind for the Warframe, you find the mods, you get your ribbons, you get your primes, you build it out, and then you rinse and repeat and leave. And the only thing that you're really doing is you get still path arbitrations and other bullet sponge kind of mechanics to actually keep you engaged. um for me as a player, it doesn't challenge you enough to get you into the game to continue doing it, other than logging in, doing your dailies, and bouncing out after about 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't help. It doesn't help your doesn't help the platform. So we'll talk about some ideas that I have. I think a couple other players in the community also have this idea as well. Um, but we'll digress. The last thing that I will have to say about any game is the replayability. How lost can the developers get the players to just zone in and do a repetitive task or repeatable task, or continuously play the game and not see what the game is really making you do, which every game is out there doing: grinding, farming. This game is a grind fest, hands down. It makes you grind for resources. It makes you grind for the parts for your warframes and the weapons. It makes you grind for tokens. And now in Necropolis, it makes you grind for tokens that gives you rep to get the other piece. So if you're not catching on at this point in time, DE is at the point where all they're doing is layering on the grind. And to me, as a new player, it's okay because I'm not a new player, but from a new player perspective, it's okay to get people to just do the repetitive thing, because for them, they don't know any different. They don't know any better of what's going on in the game. But once you get to the end game, like I said, when you have your prime, when you have your build, when you're able to cheese mode everything, that's when you're like, okay, this isn't cool. I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not being challenged. I'm not being rewarded for the challenges that I would like to see. I need something more to keep me in this game. And it kind of ties back into the combat and the mechanics of the game as well. Um, I have to say though, it's kind of sad because at this point in time now you have Eidolon hunts, you have the Deimos stuff and the farming for that as well. You can go to Fortuna and do the big Spider Mom and do a couple of those, but even then the rewards are already drained out and you really don't have much left to do. So that leads me to my last points. What do I wish for? What do I hope for? And what is there to come from Digital Extremes? I would hope D hears the cries of their community. I hope they hear that there needs to be some changes, and I think they are. First and foremost, Arcwing. Arcwing was an amazing concept when it was first released. I loved it. I love the parkour, but I will say this: if you're comparing parkour, the parkour system, the gliding, the all that from 2013 when it was released and I played it to now, I'd much rather deal with now because the parkour system was terrible back then. Same thing with Arcwing. Arcwing has been redone and polished, and I believe the developers and the game developers are just trying to find where Arcwing is going to fit. And I think finally they realize Arcwing is going to fit as moving through these big open world maps as Fortuna, Cetus, and Deimos, or Necropolis, if you want to call it, and Railjack. That is where it should stay. It should always stay. It should be as a gimmick mount ride and nothing as far nothing too much too or far from that, honestly. I'm glad they gave you the ability to actually equip the Arcwing weapon, um, and actually use that actually as an equipment and blast people away. They're starting to separate and break apart what was causing so much angst and complaints within the game itself, and splitting out what works and what doesn't work. And I think the people over in Digital Streams are doing a great job at that. My complaints are in game. To this point, we still do not have anything as far as story. We don't have anything as far as really more as in game other than still path. I would like to see something more along the lines of a group, collaborative, engaging, mechanic oriented, challenging experience. And yes, I'm going to say it, raids. Raids got to be back. We had them back in a day where you're able to go in with a group of 10 people. It was a clusterfuck. I completely agree that it was a pain in the ass to do those different raids and stuff like that. But to my point, you got to throw something in there to challenge people in there. Throw them into a group of 10 people, have three different bosses, one on each side, and finally have a mechanic around there. You can even throw in a railjack mission or to actually bring people engaged. Here's a sneaky little thing you can do. How about you have two railjack missions that collide into one another, and or better yet, what happened to the Cetus one? What happened to that cutscene when you're in or when you're on Cetus on Plains Island? You have a group on the ground doing the missions on the ground and trying to continue the beacon so they can send up to the railjack, and the railjack group is trying to battle and take down the satellites. What happened to that? Whatever happened to that whole concept? When they showed that piece right there, I was like, okay, we finally have something that we're going to be able to dive in, play, engage, and continue going through. Now, fast forward, we're in 2020. Railjack is a nightmare. It's finally better after several iterations of it, but it's not quite polished. So, my question to you, D, is where are we at, man? What are we gonna do in the year 2021? Are we going to get story that we've been looking for years? Are we going to get that these concepts that you've been showing around from cutscenes and stuff like that? Are you going to give us what the gaming community has been asking for years? Or are you going to continue playing the same hypnotic melody of the farm and the grind and just think that you're going to continually captivate people? I don't know. But anyways, if you like this video, like, subscribe, do all the great stuff out there. My main thing is these are my things. These are the feelings that I feel about the game at this point in time. And what I wish for us to go to. If you have any other points or any topics or things that you believe that needs to be, that's good but also needs to be improved, put your comments down below. If you agree with the topics down below, by all means agree. If you disagree, also comment. Let's get connected. And like always, much love from T Love. Until our next journey, see you later.